Okay, let's get attendance going. First thing, all right. All right, here we go. Do we have Jacob?
Here.
Okay, Julia? Chloe? John? John? Colin?
Here.
Jammer? Eleni?
Here.
All right. Jaziel?
Here.
Molly?
Here.
Sarah? Trey? Trey? Molly? Joe? Chase?
Here.
Brighton?
Here.
Maxwell?
Here.
Jayla? Jack?
Here.
Annalise?
Here.
Harun? All right. Julia. John. Or Jammer. Trey. Oh, Joe's here, okay. Then Jayla. Julia, Chloe, John, Jammer, Sarah, Trey, Jayla, Harun. Okay. About 8:05. April 19. All right. Few things that I wanted to talk to you about. We are not meeting on Thursday, but we will be meeting on the 26th and the 28th. Those are the two speech days assigned. So we covered in great detail about Toulmin's model of argumentation and the kind, and we did it in class. I asked you about, what's your argument, where's your warrant, where's your backing. We did that in class. Today I'll follow up again. Okay, I'm going to again look at your argument, and I'm going to talk to you about the details. But more importantly, we've already covered that quite a bit in class. But more importantly, today we are going to cover the next 2 minutes, which is counter argumentation and refutation. Okay, so we're going to do that in class. So I'm not here to just look at your argument and do a dry run in class, so that on the next week when you come, you exactly know what to expect. So we're going to do that in class today. And then I'm also going to talk about your final paper, which is for your finals. I have this communication improvement final paper, which I would like to discuss today. And yeah, so that's that. So I will get all your outlines for your debate speech out. And I'm going to talk to you about it. I'm going to hear your argument, and then I'm going to ask one of you to actually start doing the counter arguments in class, so that we have a taste of how it's going to go. Okay. So this is being recorded. So I'll also send you the recording of today's class. And let's go to, I'm on your Blackboard class. So on Blackboard, if you go to syllabus here, you will, this is where we are in class. Let's go to schedule. And here we are. Again, workshop format. Today I will be looking at your, and actually working on the last 2 minutes of your speech, which is your counter argument and refutation. So we should be all set with our argument and counter argument and refutation today. And then as you can see, 26th and the 28th are your debate speeches. And then the finals week, I have an assignment for you. There are a couple of assignments that will be coming up. The first one is, as you know, nothing new. You guys have done that. First is an in-class assignment when we will be doing our speeches on the 28th and the 3rd. That's when you do your peer evaluation, something that you've done, nothing new. Peer evaluation in class. So that's an in-class assignment, all right? So you don't have to kind of prepare ahead for that. Just when you come to class, you do it and then submit it. Okay, so that's one. The second one that you have always done and you will be doing is the self-evaluation, right? You've already done that. How do you evaluate? It's not evaluation from your, not an evaluation from me or your peers, but how do you evaluate yourself? It has to be your self-evaluation. That needs to be submitted to me after your speeches are done, of course. That's one of the things that will be, you got to do that outside of class. It's not going to be in-class assignment. And another one that I will be talking to you about right in the beginning of our class that remains fresh in our mind. So yeah, so this is already, I've already put it here. Self-evaluation of your debate speech. 1 second here. Actually, yeah. And okay, this is what I wanted to talk about, home assignment. So this is the final paper that I would like to talk to you about. So in lieu, as I mentioned to you, early on, I had told you that whenever I have a final exam, we have to, memorize concepts, or, I'm going to give you a multiple choice question or exercise question. I'm not going to have that. We're not going to have that in class, as I mentioned to you. And you don't have to be physically present here during finals week to do that. This is a take-home assignment, and this is what you need to do. There are some questions that I've asked you here. So this is due on May 6th. Okay, so that's one of the things. The two things that you have, additional things that you have to prepare for. One is, of course, your self-evaluation, and the second one is this final, right? This is, what the questions, it's already loaded there. I would like you to do a course analysis, okay, and which will also help me to understand whether your, throughout the course, did your communication improve, okay, and kind of like a self-analysis. So you've always been doing self-analysis right after your speeches, something that you've always done. But this time, this will be like a cumulative, right? All the concepts that you've learned in class, talking about audience adaptation, the profile speech, the outlining, debate speech, Toulmin's model of argumentation, informative speech, how do you use informative strategies, all that we've discussed in class. You want to review that and think about, whether your communication has improved. So you want to tell me, which you already did, remember in the beginning of the class, I asked you, how do you rate yourself as a public speaker? All right, so so now you have to tell me, after this course, how do you rate yourself as a public speaker? How do you see yourself as a public speaker after this course, right? So on a scale of 1 to 10, tell me that this is how I have seen myself. There's significant changes, or there are some minor things that I think that I've implemented through the course. I've understood, certain things. And now, how do you see yourself, like a before this course and after, kind of before after? So then, in what areas? Now, be specific here. In what areas have been? I'm going to really see how you are, kind of. And in this section, the second question here, I would like to see, have you improved in, let's say, your writing skills have improved. You now have a better sense of audience. You now have a better sense of timing your speech. You now have, perhaps you now have a better research skill. what are some of the areas, eye contact, all the, evaluations that you've got from your peers, the evaluation that you've got from me, do you see that, in what areas have you really focused on? So you got to tell me that, okay? And not only, the areas where you've seen improvement, but there are some areas, I'm sure, where you would like to see more improvement. What would those areas be? Define those areas and tell me. And then when I see those areas, I'll know that, you've been through the class, you've done your lectures, you've seen, you've participated in class discussion. This is where we find the top. Okay, so then the third of the lighter question, what were some of the highlights? What did you enjoy about this course? I mean, maybe the discussions that you had, maybe the speeches, the challenges that was given to you. What was exciting about this course? And then what was challenging to you? And challenging, I'm not saying in a negative way, but something that kind of challenged you, kind of pushed you further to go beyond your norm. Okay. So what was challenging about this course? So this is what you need to do. This is what we call it the communication improvement final paper. As I've given you a word count as well, kind of shows you where you should be. I won't probably the whole assignment. I would probably get this done in an hour and a half. Okay, so if you're doing something more than that, then you're just overdoing it. So I probably do it in an hour and a half or maybe 2 hours at the most and get this done. Okay. So this is your communication final improvement paper. It's already been there. So now you can just go, and I'll keep reminding you the 2 assignments that you need to do is your self-evaluation and this one. That's it. And then of course your final debate speeches. That's coming up, right? Okay. Here we go. Any questions, class, at this point? None? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I'll delve right into it. Okay. I didn't want to. So what I have done is let me go to your Blackboard site. If you go to PowerPoint, I've combined both actually for you. So just to keep it simple, I had another slide which is reputation. Combined all of that and created this one. It's the same thing. It's just I've just combined it. Once you click here, and here we go. So this should be good for all of you. Actually, if you just look into the slide, you should be good. So it does. So April 26th and 28th. So in terms of time, I had like 5 to 8 minutes, but I don't think that we get that amount of time. I'm still keeping a 5-minute timeline. But it's okay if we go a little beyond that because I don't know how long the counter argument will take, and so I have a little bit of room there. But I have assigned all of you 5 minutes. Okay, so 5 minutes. The first argument is 3 minutes, which you've been working on. The first argument that you worked on, it should be about 300 words or so, maybe a little bit more if you 300 to 400 words, but it has to be within 3 minutes. Your first argument. Once you have your first argument in class here on next Tuesday, what I will do is I'll assign one of you. So all of you have to keep your ears completely open. And today we're going to do how to do good smart counter arguments. We're going to practice that in class, so don't worry about it. Then let's say Max goes for his speech and he starts with his first argument, and I'm sitting here and saying I'm probably sitting there, and I said, Joe, go with your counter argument. So Joe actually hears his argument, he rephrases it in his mind, and then he uses a few strategies to counter argue with Max. Max doesn't know, you will not know what counter arguments you will be getting. But what you need to do when you're prepping for is you're going to attack yourself from different positions and see how many people can attack your position, your argument from very different perspectives. Okay. So that when Joe comes to this counter argument, you are prepared. Okay. So that's going to. So here I said, Joe, come up with your counter argument. First of all, I'll talk to you all about it. There's a way to do it. You rephrase it in your mind that what his argument is. Then you start from a point of agreement. Tell us where you agree with him. And then the next step is tell us where you disagree with him. Okay. And then point your question. He hears your response. He hears your counter argument and he refutes his position. Refutes means he defends his position. Okay, he claims back his. So what he does is he hears your counter argument, He summarizes it in his mind. He again begins, he hears, and you have to then naturally hears counter argument. You have to begin at a point where you have to say, yeah, this is where we agree with you. First, before saying this is I disagree with you, tell us where you agree with this position. And then tell us, specifically talk about the counterclaim that he made and defend your position. Okay, say how you disagree with this position. All right. And that's it. So this is what happens. So 3 minutes, first argument, 1 minute of going back and forth counter argument. All right. And then 1 minute for refutation. Within 5 minutes, you're back. Okay, so that's going to happen on right. Actually, if we had more time, I would have not taken just one counter argument. I would have assigned two, just not Joe. I'd probably say Molly, both of you go and ask. Okay. If we see that we have time, we might do that. Because that's what I have initially planned. If we don't, we just begin with one counter. Okay. All right. Now this is the whole slide is I have prepared it and it's already there. So we've done that in class several times as well. So this is what we've been through so many times. There's Stephen Toulmin, all this data claim warrant. We've talked about it, data claim warrant, backing, modifier, rebuttal. All this has to be in your argument. You've done that. I've seen that you have that. I have an example for you if you don't remember, because we did the Obama example perhaps 4 or 5 times in class. And then today we're going to talk about the counter argument refutation. How do you do that? And some more, I kind of told you 1 minute of the timeline and all of that. 4 or 5 minutes. I've kind of given you all a timeline. All right. You don't have, this is not an online class, but if you want to get some extra credits, then you can record yourself and send it to me so that I can give you some extra credits. All right. Let me just go with the first. Okay, let me do this way. Okay, so because we've done that several times, so now it should be within our, in our mind completely. Let me again do this. Okay, so what I'm going to do, class, I am going to play the same clip, all right, the 3-minute clip. Exactly, that's the timeline that you have, the 3-minute Obama clip, okay? I'm going to play the same clip, all right? And now what you need to do is to present counter arguments. If President Obama would have been giving the speech, what would be some of the counter arguments that you would be giving? Okay, so you already know that so many times, so it's going to be easier for you to do this. But this is how I would like you to approach it, okay? So I would like a counter argument from each of you after hearing Obama's 3-minute first argument, all right? And this is what I want you to do today. Go through the steps with me, okay? First, hear the argument and restate the claim, okay? Restate what Obama's position is. Then tell me where you, show me where you agree. How do you agree with him? On what point? And then tell me where do you differ. Everybody needs to come up with one counter argument, okay? So, and then summarize your counter, just tell me where you differ, and then that's it. That's what you need to do. Just follow 3, step 1, step 2, step 3. You don't have to do this because President Obama would have had to be here to refute his position. So just do step 1, step 2, step 3. I would like to see how you do it, okay? So there are some ways you can do it. I'm going to talk about a few strategies of doing this. All right, here, number 1. First of all, this is not the best thing. I really don't, but it could happen. It's a direct denial. He says something, all right, that there should be that targeted military attack on Syria, and you just say no, there shouldn't be. Okay, there's too many layers to it, and if you think he says black and you say white. Okay, unless you have a really, really strong position, okay, really strong argument against that the first argument, you typically don't do this. Okay, it's like a black and white. It's a direct denial. Okay, so that's something that you may want to do, and you have to again back it up. If you completely say that no, we do not want to go for a surgical strike, back it up. Tell us why. Okay, so that's one of the things. One strategy, it's a direct denial. This one is quite done. It's quite done when you challenge the relevance of the opposition's claim to it. So you say that you're talking about this. You know, you're talking about a targeted military strike on Syria, but maybe there's some other issues that you need to focus on. Okay, it's not about targeted military strike. Maybe you need to work on building building up your army right now. Okay, instead of doing that, focus on building up or putting resources to strengthen your military. Or maybe you need to look at your relations, your relations with Syria and working on diplomacy and talks rather than doing a military strike. Okay, so you challenge the relevance quite often done. Okay, you challenge that it's not relevant. You need to focus on other things. So you do it that way. All right. Number 2. Number 3. Attack the warrant. This is the best thing that you can. That's the reason why we talk so much in class about warrants. Okay. If you think his reasoning, which is we know that he's saying that the world, this is not how the world needs to be. And he thinks that preemptively that there should be a preemptive strike, because if we don't strike them, they strike us. If you think that this is overthinking, this is based out of fear, this is based out of ignorance. If you think that's the reason, the whole reasoning behind Obama's surgical strike on Syria is wrong, go ahead, attack the warrant, or there is reasoning. All right, so that's number 3. Okay, this is also done in debates. When you see the evidence, all the evidence that he said, okay, the fact that Syria has been doing this, they're creating weapons of mass destruction. If you think that's not true, you can ask them, ask your the debater, where is your evidence from? Who's saying? Is it your media who's reporting that Syria is making weapons of mass destruction and weapons of biological weapons? Where is your source? Maybe this is created by the American media. If you are challenging the evidence, do that. Okay, where is your source? Where is your evidence? What's the proof? How you getting this evidence? Another very, very, very often used strategy is you attack the evidence of the proof. Okay, and this one is one you really need to be deep into debating to do this. Sometimes you hear the claim, you hear the warrants or proof, and you turn that into your advantage. Okay, you might say that we really don't. According to the proof that you have, according to the evidence that you have, there are some talks that Syria is going, doing all of this, thinking about chemical warfare, has done a little bit of chemical warfare, but it's still very limited, right? It's still very limited within certain regions. You are making this making a mountain of a mole, and this is not as big as you're thinking. And to US to go for a strike is huge. We are going through a recession right now. We don't need to focus on this. Okay, so you're actually looking at the claim and you're saying and or the warrant or the proof, and you're trying to make it into advantage. Okay, so these are some of the 5 strategies that I wanted to discuss with you that you can use. Okay, so I'm going to play this for you one time. All right, I'm going to play that 3-minute speech which you heard several times, but I'm going to play that again. I would like each of you to do this for me, as we mentioned here. Restate his claim. 1, show where you agree. 2, and point out where you differ. And how do you differ? I just went through the 5 strategies. Okay. It's all on Blackboard. It's being loaded. So if you want to go back, you can. I'm going to play this, and after you hear the 3-minute speech, I'll give you about 5 to 6 minutes to come up with your counter. Okay? Counter argument. All right. So that's going to be practice session 1. All right, let's hear. Okay. Right here. And I know it's right, 13. No. 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 Yeah. So you can now start with this one. I'm going to the slide right now. Here. Restate the claim, show where you agree, point out where you differ. I just want you to do step 1, step 2, step 3. When you are trying to point out where you differ, go back to the strategies here. Direct denial, challenge the relevance of the opposition's claim, challenge the relevance of the claim. Number 3, attack Obama's reasons or reasoning. 4, attack Obama's proof that he used in the claim. And 5, turn Obama's claim, warrants, or proof to your advantage. Use any of these strategies to create a counter argument. Take about, you will not have so much time, but I will give you, just for today's practice, take about 5 minutes. Be ready to discuss. All right, let's hear from you. Who wants to go first? And I'm going to take it one by one, slowly. We start from this direction. Next, okay. Tell us. Go according to the 3 on. Let me just put this 1 second here. Okay. First, restate the claim.
I said President Obama and the United States must interfere with the use of chemical weapons in Syria.
Okay.
I said I understand how this predicament can unsteady Americans in the future, but is taking 1,422 Syrian civilian lives directly.
Okay. All right. And how do you? What would be your question? Do you have a question?
Is taking 1,422
Syrian lives. Okay. And so, in other words, how do you deal with that? Right. Okay. What can you specify which strategy did you use? Did you use? And let me answer this question for you. When you are saying that, did you do the attacking to relevance?
I did the attack the warrants recently.
Attack the warrants. Okay. Okay. You're attacking the fact that he's saying that this is not the world we live in. So in other words, this is not the world that we live in. So it's also killing. It's also going to kill Syria. So that's not the world that we should either live and do, right? Okay. All right. Good. Thank you. All right. Let's go with who wants to go next. Annalise? Yeah.
So Obama claims that a targeted military strike is needed to prevent further escalation and protect national security. While ensuring national security should be a priority, he says that the U.S. is not under imminent threat. Additionally, empirically, when the U.S. overreaches into the Middle East, it is only causing more conflict. For example, the presence of troops in Saudi Arabia during and after the Gulf War was one of the key reasons for the attack on September 11th. An unnecessary targeted strike will only increase tension in the area, something the U.S. cannot afford given our reliance on Middle Eastern oil and our struggling economy.
Okay, wonderful. So you actually went back to what happened with Saudi. All right. Can you specify which one did you use out of those 5 strategies?
I attacked the warrant.
You attacked the warrant. Okay. Both attacked the warrant. Okay. All right. I'm going to do, like which one was the most popular one? Let's see. Let's hear who wants to go from this side. Jacob. I didn't.
I said that while striking the Syrians is
You want to do the first tell us what the claim is and do the food according to order.
yeah, he says that striking the Syrians is a useful strategy in stopping the use of chemical weapons.
Right.
While I agree that stopping the use of chemical weapons is important, I feel that in the economy that they had back then, there were much more pressing matters in the United States that need to be attended to first before going and defending that.
Defending that. So I think you attacked the first one, relevance,
Yeah.
significance of the. Do you agree with me? Like, do you think the first one that you challenged, you attacked the so both both of you, Max and Annalise, they attacked the warrant or the reasoning. Jacob attacked the significance or the relevance or other pressing issues that needs to be taken care of. Now with Syrian strike is not priority number 1. Okay. Who wants to go? Let's see. Jack or
President Obama believes it would be in the best interest for our country to interfere with Syria to stop the use of chemical weapons.
okay.
I agree with President Obama that we need to take action, but I think in doing this will cause more problems and create more threats to our country.
Will cause more problems and create more threats to our
Yeah.
country. Okay. Which out of those 5 strategies, which one did you use? Let me figure this out. Will cause more problems and more threats. Not relevance, maybe. Warrant. Is it warrant or relevance?
I think it's relevant.
Relevance? Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Oh, okay, so, the claim is like President Obama believes that a target strike is needed for Syria which I can agree, like, that they could help them out.
Right.
Also, the US has other, like, at the time,
Okay,
there's other worries to, like, go on.
right,
The last thing is to get involved in something that we don't really.
okay. So clearly that's relevance, right? Number one, all right, okay. Molly,
So Obama said we had a have a drone strike against Syria.
right,
And I agree that they weren't committing war crimes, but Obama could have considered doing the same thing because these drone strikes could be helping some people.
at the same time. So, warrant, you're that one, okay, all right, okay. Let's hear, okay, Joe, why didn't you?
The claim is that, is that military forces should be put in Syria to prevent the damage caused by Assad regime from spreading over many places, even over borders to such as Jordan, Turkey,
Absolutely,
by the use of chemical weapons. And I-
wonderfully done, very nice, thank you.
And I agree,
Yeah.
it should be stopped.
Right.
But where's the evidence that Assad regime actually used chemical weapons? So,
Okay, all
yeah.
right, you used, okay, so you're attacking number 5, you're
uh,
attacking the evidence,
Yes. and-
Okay.
And overall, my statement is that I agree that Assad regime's violence should be stopped, and to achieve that, military forces can be needed. But we first must make sure chemical weapons are actually used.
well done. So that was Joe's position, he attacked the evidence or the proof that Obama is using to make his claim, right? Okay, so he's number 5, all right. Okay, let's go with Jay's here, yeah.
Maintain complex with the U.S. response to Assad's chemical weapons. And I agree with that Assad's use of chemical weapons to the threat for the U.S.
Right. Okay, but how do you, what's your, how do you attack? How do you counter argue?
I said the warning. He said that this is not a world solution. I said
Right? So you, okay, so you got to disagree with this, right? So you got to push yourself further and figure out how do you counter argue with his position? Okay, you did mention the warrant, you did talk about the case, but how do you disagree? Do you think, you know, and even if you agree with him in a counter argument, you have to disagree, right? So where is it that you think, where do you think is wrong? Do you think his evidence is all botched up? Do you think his reasoning is wrong? She should not be thinking, he's overthinking about this? And do you think his, he needs to focus on other things? He's putting too much of relevance on the war, and he needs to, he needs to look at the economy, 2012, this happened. Where do you think he's going? So think about that, okay? And then you got to come up with a counter argument. It's always, you have to, which you did, you got the claim, you got the reasoning and everything, you got that. But now, how do you disagree with it? Let's go with,
I mean, all right. He claimed that we needed to do an airstrike in order to protect the future of the United States and its citizens.
right,
And while I agree that the US and its citizens need to be protected,
Right.
a drone strike on civilians is unwarranted in any degree and should not be the ultimate solution in that situation.
okay, so I think specifically you're talking about the strategy of why he's using a drone strike. Okay, and in this, out of the 5 strategies, which one do you think best fits your counter argument?
Yes, the first one, my point is more, it shouldn't be done at all, the drone strike. So
Right,
it's more of a, he says we should, I say we should.
you should, okay, so okay, all right. It's a direct denial that you shouldn't be doing a drone strike at all. All right, interesting, all right. Colin, would you?
For like the question, I feel like is sending a strike going to help with like, in any way at all? And then
saying that I agree, like, some needs to be done, but doing that probably is just gonna like make things a lot worse between the two.
Two countries,
yeah,
okay,
the two countries.
all right. And which one would you think out of those 5 strategies do you think you use that it will further make the relations between Syria and US irreparable, damaged? What would which one do you think? Is it a direct denial? Is it, are you challenging the relevance? Are you challenging, you're challenging the relevance of this? Okay, all right, okay, all right. So thank you. This is wonderful. I'm glad that you guys, as I told you, so but change. You have to tell me what's your argument. Argument is. Yeah. Tell us, go according to the steps. First, tell us what the claim is, say that you agree, then tell us how you.
Actually was not sure what's right for it.
Okay, all right, so we can work on that one. So tell me what the claim, which you know, what is the claim in this argument? What is Obama claiming? That we should go for a surgical strike, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any way you think, and firstly, do you agree or do you disagree with this position?
I agree.
You agree,
Yeah.
okay, all right. So let's say you want, if you had, I said that you disagree, because you have to disagree with the contrary word disagree, okay? So, where do you think he could be making some kind of a flaw? Do you think he's overthinking it? That maybe Syria is not creating these biological weapons or chemical warfare, and just like when Saddam Hussein was killed, people thought that WMD, weapons of mass destruction, but actually they could not find, right? Is it a propaganda by US media or international media? Do you think that could be a possibility? Do you think war is not a solution? We need to go for peace now? Okay, there has to be a peace conflict resolution. Do you think there are other issues that US needs to focus on? Economy, for example, are fixing our own country in so many other ways, and rather than going for another war? Which one do you think in terms of what could Obama be missing here? So that's going to be, and I'm not going to put you in the spot and ask you to respond, but that's going to be a helpful way to think about it. Okay. So you can, and those are the 5 different ways, and you will figure out one of them. So it's a direct denial where you say that no, we should not be going for war. 2, you challenge you attack the significance. War is not what you need to think about. There are other issues. 3, you attack the proof. There is no weapons of mass. There is no biological weapon. It's all the media is creating. That was number 3. What was it? Claim significance. When you turn the opponent's claim or the warrant or the proof into your advantage. Okay, that could be another process. So there's the 5 ways, and you'll figure it out. But you got to come and your stance as a person who's listening to the argument is to understand where, and it's not like how do I become one up in a debate? It's never that. It's the way, why do we have a debate? It's to see that that position is completely solid. Do you think that your debater, fellow debater, has missed anything? Got to think about it. Okay, so all right. Here we go. And so what I'll do right now, I want you, I was just doing a head count. We have about 10 of us here, and I want some small groups, okay, preferably 3 in each group. And 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. One group will have 2. I want you to get into little small groups of 3, and then within that 3 group, let's say Khalid, Chase, and Annalise are in one group. I want you to tell each other your the one that will speak that you guys are doing. In 3 minutes, present your case, first argument. Then I want panelists to get one counter argument from Colin and one counter argument from Chase. Hear the counter argument, process it, and refute your position. You guys have to do that within small groups, okay? And then once you're done, I'll give you all about each of you. So I'll give you about 10 minutes each group to do this, 10 to 15 minutes. And once you're done with that, present it to me. Okay, within that, so just be in your for a small group and then present. Don't have to move out or anything. Be in your group and then I'll ask you what was some of the counter, how you rate to ask it. Okay. And then after that, you're done. And hopefully we'll all be confident and all be prepared to do this. You have the whole week. You're going to meet in a week. So you have the whole week to prepare and then come to class. So get into your groups. Just get into 3 in each group, please.
Yeah.
Right now, we have 9 stations. Usually setting up those- The total depth is standardized. Removing weapons with the we take this test. The current action taken by Saudi Arabia with exporting US can be cellular coalition, detailing and working on school lunch.
Our education system is standardized by the across the United States.
It's also
Some accident testing, many of those can account for the conflict. More or very one difference from document tested by the US has applied for how well US personnel although such work should not be it's today with a specialized based on which is probably
approximately 1,800 space by any person. So I think Shabana is such a university human rights the lack of oversight on straight has allowed I say rather than upholding human rights standards,
a lot of college exactly. So what will the difference? They obviously they still evaluate. Yes. No, I'm not arguing with you. Again.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that should not.
I didn't.
So set up like that, just like learn and understand all the drama standards.
Yeah, you can definitely and kind of
Yeah. Therapy is kind of-
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah, well, I understand that they got the one from Express.
Yeah. Good job.
This is the last one we got. As I said, comes out
Well, I have.
and they are mostly.
I was gonna argue like, oh,
whether it's
what would happen if they
intentional
lost federal funding within some sort
What
of.
the reasons are, it's like, like that. Because they're used in programs, some people use them, some they hate, children accidentally just use them. And end up getting so
Yeah, I think that's.
they're also society,
Yeah.
out there, the number of
Okay.
household children accidental cases.
So my was coming here is that some of the wheels. Saying that. Some people say that we don't use it. People say that NBA players, but like that.
And he gets like that.
This number of guns, this number of people.
Sorry.
Guns are out. People say this number of guns doesn't.
Yeah. Well, it's just a common sense.
Yeah. It's not.
What's the
At least
like dining around? I've heard of dining around.
So one guns might not be
Oh, wait. Oh. Oh, five highest. Well, the highest. She has a 2-year, $500,000.
How will they be protected from companies that choose to let their lack of age experience?
So, you said
That's
that,
very
making sure you're
Because the only way that they can really get protection is agents through campus.
Wait, he's the
And
highest.
the internet is so much different from it. So you're not really
increase the
solving
amount of people who, die from stuff. We have to, acknowledge the fact that.
There was one.
How big the industry is. Would lose their jobs.
I was gonna say something kind of like that. I mean, overall, I agree with
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
It's a hard topic to argue, but yeah, that's a good point.
Essentially, the response.
Yeah, that, the economic implication.
Because the change is so recent, we haven't seen an increase of sports agents for younger athletes, but that will be in the near future. So then they can just have their, like, a personal agent.
Really just like.
So it's like, if we were to impose the,
Yeah.
it would cause, people to lose their jobs.
Like that.
Thousands of dollars.
Oh, okay.
That's mission, we think of pull that into. It's just cool.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, you.
In the United States, there are vast number of people in the prison system, but every like that. People.
Yeah, I'm doing, should sports teams be able to recruit young athletes without a job?
People out of every one, I'm saying 1,000 people.
They should be able to.
This is
get recruited by sports teams. But I feel like that kind of also, you make a counter argument about kind of the same thing we did, where it's like they could recruit sports, these athletes.
Who go to prison boards.
I think so.
he's not in prison, so. well, it's like, you need
Yeah.
4 years, but then you have
Yeah.
this national board of seven people who are.
Here, like imagine.
To serve
Like if you.
all
Yeah, yeah,
Been playing
forever,
professionally for decades.
yeah.
It's like-
People in prison, they need to focus on
I'm just like,
rehabilitation. Sometimes they say it's no more exactly.
They win like nationals or.
Yeah, yeah.
This type of corpse, prison, people have committed these heinous crimes would be more likely prevented from society.
Yeah, and like,
And the prison
in like
system
track, they have like a bunch of Kennedy guys as their.
This is because they were, there were some things in jail that the first time around, how did they benefit this society?
Like here.
What's new after?
Yeah, Eric Musgrave. He's like a 60.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's Eric. He's a 60, so he's an old guy. So,
When is our extra credit speech due? Will be Sunday night?
The extra,
The
the
recording.
recording. The Sunday night,
Sunday.
yeah. Which is 24th midnight. All right, so you already did the counter argument. Refutation is again when you're, when you hear the counter argument, the last step to the last 1 minute is how you refute, right? So remember, when you hear the counter argument, Max says his position, first argument to JZL provides a counter argument, and then Max responds with a refutation, right? So when you do that, it's the same thing. It's nothing different. Restate the counter argument. So you've got to be very, very active at that point. You're going to hear, process, and restate the counter argument in your own words. Show, again, always come from a place where you agree. Show where you agree, and then tell us where you disagree using the same strategies when you're doing the counter arguments. It's nothing different. Using the same strategies, 5 strategies: direct deny, challenge the relevance of the claim, counter claim, challenge the warrant or the reasoning of the counter claim, challenge the evidence or proof of the counter claim, or number 5, turn the counter arguments, claim, warrant, reasoning, all of that to your advantage. The same thing, you're going to do that. And this is going to be a wild card quick one because you really don't know specifically what counter argument will you be getting. So that's the debate. That's the spicy part of the speech that you have to do it in real time, then and there. So practice as many times, and the best way to do it is ask yourself, do your counter argument yourself, and then maybe ask if you have friends, you're living in a family, or if you ask somebody who hears the argument, give me a counter argument, and then practice that. How many counter arguments do you have? And then refute. Once you give yourself a counter argument, refute it. That's the way you can do this, because you really do not know. You had an experience in the small little cohorts that we had today, a little experience of the kind of counter arguments that you will be getting, and the refutation. How do you refute? You had that experience, but that day you might get a very different counter argument that probably you did not see, but you have to do that. The same steps, nothing very different. Okay. Did you all get the time to okay? Let's hear. Let's go with you guys, Molly, Jack. You guys you went one group, right? Okay, so tell me, go with Molly first. Molly, what are the counter arguments that you get?
They asked how like schools would know if the kids are like excelling in the right phase.
Okay. Okay.
And sure, I agree. Well, I agree that you have to like track it and make sure they're on the right path, but I don't think we need a standardized test to like track them. I think teachers can find the best ways to track their own students to make sure that they're doing okay.
They're doing so. You don't need to have a standardized test to track the other. Okay. All right. Anybody, what do you have? What counter arguments do you get?
Well, Molly and I, we like, actually, we have like the same argument.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it was like the same.
Same.
How would they like, how would colleges look at like test scores if they're not like, if they're not taking any standardized tests?
Right,
So
right.
would I agree, but then also like, I know for our class, we didn't have to actually like
Do
put in
all-
our SAT scores because we didn't take the SAT or
Right,
ACT.
right, right.
So colleges already like, that's one example where
Right.
they accepted us as like the class of 2021, so.
Okay, okay, all right. So one thing, I don't know whether you guys are following this, there's some top, some of the top tier schools are now not looking at primarily at ACT scores and GPA now. I don't know whether you've heard about this, there's something going on. You may want to research that. I heard it as an advertisement, so I'm not very sure. Somebody was, there was this coaching group that was on YouTube and they're talking about how you should be taking classes from them because some of the top tier schools are no longer looking at just the standardized scores. Basically college admission. Okay, Rajat, what was what counter arguments did you get and how did you refute?
So I was doing like MBA versus WNBA, and they should get paid the same. And
Yeah.
they brought up like gender equality, and like
Right.
they're both playing the same, like basketball is a professional sport.
Right,
And so that was our counter argument, like what about gender equality and stuff like that.
okay, and how did you refute?
I just said like the amount of money the two leagues bring in is like incredibly like different, significantly different. And if you just look at like the numbers and the amount of revenue they bring in,
Right.
it proves otherwise.
All right, all right. Joe and Jacob, we'll go with Jacob first and then you. Okay, what-
I was talking about how the prison system needs to be reformed in order to keep prison rates down, and crime rates down.
Right.
My counter argument was that,
I haven't said it yet.
Oh, you did? You
Yeah.
guys did not work? Okay, you want some time?
sure.
I can say it now.
Oh, you can say it now.
I would say, what, like, how, so he says, US prison,
Yeah,
more focus
Right.
more on punishments than like
Right.
reforming prisoners or like rehabilitation of them.
right,
But how would reform lead to like less number of crimes than the like punishing them? Like,
okay, how is,
what is
okay,
the evidence of like which is better,
which is, okay, and how do you refute this?
I'd say that we have other countries that have already adopted this new form of rehabilitation prison system, such as Sweden, that
Yeah.
already has seen in very low like crime rates.
Right.
As I've stated that the United States has about 100 people in out of like 1,000 people in the United States that are in the prison system, as
Right.
compared to Sweden's 70 people to 100,000 people. in prison.
Wow, that big, a
Mhm.
difference, okay,
And you can tell from just looking at images of Sweden's prisons that they
Yeah.
kind of look more so like dorm rooms that we have here
okay,
than actual prisons that you would think of,
Okay.
or something that would come to mind.
right,
And they have like focused prison programs that would also focus on like stuff like cooking and stuff like that. And this means that they have skills going out of prison that they didn't have before going into prison,
right,
meaning that they can go find a job easier as compared to the US, where you spend around, say, 10 or so years in prison, and then all you know is just the daily life of waking up, eating, and then going back to sleep. And so there's nothing more else you can do besides commit more crimes.
okay, right. What counter argument did you have from Jacob, Joe?
Okay, so my argument was like, guns should be banned to have, to make safer environment. And he gave me counter arguments that, what if people's life in a making, in an industry of making guns? And
Okay.
I haven't come up
What,
with.
what was this counter argument? Sir?
Oh.
What was this counter argument? What
The
did,
counter argument is, what if the people's life that work for gun industry,
yeah,
if the gun is back, if the guns are back, they lose like jobs and stuff.
okay, okay, all right, okay, okay,
Yeah, and I haven't come up
with a reputation for this
Yep.
one. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's hear from this group. We go with Colin first. Colin, what was the argument? What counter arguments do you get?
Mine was about, the college appreciate it or not, and my
Yeah.
argument I got was, mainly from like, was just, that if if we need to have like an agent, they wouldn't go through the school, because the school would like make profit off them, so they could like make money like that.
Okay. And what was, how do you refute your position? Were you able to refute as well? You can think about it and come back later. Chase, what was your position? What counter arguments do you get?
My position was, should sports teams be able to recruit young athletes without a college degree?
Okay, yeah, I remember that, okay. And then what were two counter arguments that you received from your peers?
Well, one of them was that, the main one was that, like, they wouldn't want the young athletes to get exploited, basically, like, based off their
Okay,
profit,
okay.
like, from
The-
being on a professional
Right.
team.
And how would you refute?
It was kind of hard to refute because I wasn't sure like how to go about that. Like if you are a young athlete, I mean, maybe you could get like your agent like to help you or something.
Okay,
I'm not sure. I wasn't sure how to refute it,
Okay.
honestly.
okay, did you ever think about that this can come up as a counter argument?
I thought about it before, but I wasn't like sure how they go about like doing that. I don't know.
Okay, all right. And we,
Mine was about ending weapon sales to Saudi Arabia in order to end the war in Yemen.
okay,
And there's not really any counter arguments you could have, because my main points are like ending famine and like Saudi Arabia's murdering children.
okay.
Yeah, so there's not really any counter arguments.
Counter arguments, okay. The ending will pretty much your main aim is to end selling weapons to
To Saudi Arabia. and
Saudi
their
Arabia.
coalition.
The only thing that I can think about is, is there something else that's going on which has a higher priority, which needs to be acted upon? Like you do talk about the same, maybe something else that needs to, we can deprioritize this one and put higher priority on something else. Do you see that? Is that the central problem that's going on?
I mean, given the massive impact that this is having in Yemen, you can't really prioritize anything else. It's also like a very simple solution. Like a lot of domestic issues are very complex. And
Okay.
they're not gonna get fixed very quickly. This is a very simple fix.
Okay, all right. So you heard that one of you is going to catch a counter argument when she's going to present that speech. So you guys better prepare, and I'm going to call upon you. So you just heard her claims, you better prepare a counter argument, which are right. All right. Okay, that's that group, the next, your group. Let's go with the Max first and then.
My claim is that social media is addictive and damaging our nation's youth. And the counter argument was that social media like promotes communication, and then people or whatever, I said that like email does the same thing, and it only takes about 10 minutes to write an email when it's on social media for 2 hours every 10%.
Okay, all right, wonderful, okay. Daisy, what was your argument? And,
I was,
yeah,
is using painkillers healthy?
I'm sorry,
Is using painkillers healthy?
is using painkillers healthy? And what are you saying? What's your claim?
My current thing is,
No, did you say it's healthy or not? What's your claim?
oh, it is healthy.
Okay, and then what counter arguments did you get?
They give me the use of painkillers from manage instead of using alternative medicine.
Okay, and how would you?
No,
You haven't refuted. So they're saying that, well, you can use alternate medicines to as painkillers, because painkillers have very severe side effects. For example, use of steroids has serious side effects. Use of ibuprofen for a long time, not like once or twice, but long term has serious side effects. Those are some of the challenges that will be coming your way. And then you can also say that if you don't control the pain at that point, the inflammation increases and it causes. I'm actually doing some research on this one, so I have plenty to talk about that. Okay, Brighton, what's your channel? We're talking about music therapy? Please
Yes,
tell us
my,
what
my
it is.
claim is that musical therapy does work.
Okay,
The counterclaim presented was that other therapies work well, why should music therapy be used?
okay,
And my refutal of that is on a few levels.
okay,
One, it has been used since the 1940s to aid vets primarily.
okay,
Two, a degree in musical therapy
Right.
takes the same level of education as physical therapy.
okay. all right.
And musical therapy works as an additional aid to other therapies. It is not a primary.
Right, it's like an adjunct.
Yeah,
on the
It's
side.
like a vitamin.
Okay, all right, like a vitamin. And what were some of the counter arguments that you got? That doesn't work.
I haven't actually gotten.
Oh, you had this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay, all right. So, yeah, okay. So you did hear, this is what you need to do. Plus, you got a feel of how it's going to go, right? You come here, you do your thing, first argument, within 3 minutes, I time you. Then I will pick one of you. So all of you, because that's going to be your point. So let's, once Molly's there, I'd say, Colin, your counter argument for her. You present your counter argument, then following the first few steps. So I'll be there in slides, I'll probably have some of the slides, or maybe I just write it on the board. So it will be first, restate her claim, say where you agree, say where you disagree, and then let us leave. Okay, so we'll call one of you, and that's going to be a part of the assignment. Okay, so you will be judged on your argument. If you're picked for a counter, everybody will get one counter argument. That's how I'm going to see that. Okay, if student is understanding how to do counter. So, but I don't know who I'm going to do. So I'll have the list and say, okay, Colin goes for the counter. Okay, so this is what I want, and I wanted to do this so that all of you have this before, because you guys are not going to be here for a week. So I don't want that week seem to get lost. Okay. So this is what I want, and this has came to my mind. I'm going to open up a session for all of you. Okay, so 1 second here. Let me just do this here. What did I do? Okay, all right. So I'm going to your class here, and I'm doing a discussion board, okay? So here all your debate drafts are all here. So all of you have this, it's all there, okay? So what I want you to do is you all have, this is all there, unless you've changed it. I don't think did anybody change it from the draft that was submitted? You changed it? Okay, so then if you've changed it, just take your other one out. I don't know whether can you take it out? Can you delete it?
I can add another one though.
Oh, okay. I can delete it for you. So Alice, you want me to delete this?
Yes.
Okay. So I can delete it for you and then put the latest one, unless, okay. And then all of you have this. Remember, you will be, because I didn't want you to forget any of the speeches. So what you need to do is provide as a practice, and you need to do this by next week, which is by Sunday midnight, 24th. By Sunday, try to put in one counter argument, okay? One counter argument for each of the speakers. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 speakers are there. 13 speech drafts are there. Look at this speech and have one counter argument. That way you're sure that you are ready to go with your counter argument when I ask you, okay? So that will be a sure shot that I have that counter argument, because remember, you are at an advantage as providing a counter argument. You are at an advantage because that can be prepared in advance. All right, so there's an advantage, but the refutation part is something that. So once you get the counter arguments, you don't have to respond to it. I just want you all to see what other counter arguments are you getting, and then provide your refutation. Don't have to do it here, but you need to be prepared. Okay, if these are my counter arguments that I'm getting, how do I refute it? By that time, once you come here, you are ready to go. You won't be lost. Okay. So here I'm going to say this. I'm going to kind of change this thread a little bit. And I'm deleting this. Sure. At least, okay. I am deleting this one because she's going to put her new one. Delete. Okay, all right. So here, going to discussion board, provide your, how do I, okay, so edit. Sorry. One. Restate. One. Restate the claim. Two. Show where you agree. Three. Show where you disagree using the same steps. All right, this is what I want to show you. I have done this, so please make sure that you turn this in by midnight on Sunday. All right. So this is what I have done. So these are the steps. I'm not going to repeat it. This is one counter argument. You have all of that there. One counter argument for each of, like you have 10 or 12, provide one counter argument. That way you prepare yourself. And then debaters, you don't need to do this step, refutation, but once you see the some of the counter arguments that have come your way, start preparing. How are you going to refute it? So you already will have enough preparation. Remember, don't forget your first argument, right? Because that's not, you really stress on that. Don't forget your first argument. The first argument is something that I've heard that, that argument needs to be within 300 words. It has to have a claim. Because it has data, it has a claim. We're going to start with the claim, backed up with all the data and evidence. I would be able to see your warrant. I'm going to see that your warrant is backed up by backing. There is modifier. Remember, we talked about modifier, an operative word which shows the strength of the argument. And finally, you have what we call is reservation or rebuttal within the argument. Okay, remember all the 5 things that we discussed in Toulmin's model of argumentation. Prepare that first argument, the 3 argument very well. Okay, do it in front of the mirror as many times as you can. Again, 3 minutes is all you have. Take your time. Once you are here, take the middle stage and then do your first argument. Once you do that, then I will be calling upon one of your peers to present the counter argument. Hear the counter argument very well. Process it. You've already been doing prep for that, and then provide your refutation. That's going to happen on Tuesday, coming Tuesday in a week, and then we have another day. So I think we should be good in terms of time. 5 minutes, it might stretch to maybe 5 minutes or 6 minutes, but I think we should be good in terms of time. Are there any questions, class? None? Okay. So do this. This is there. I will put the time. This needs to be turned in by Sunday midnight, and there's points for this one. Be well. Best of luck. I will see you in a week.
So speeches,
Yeah.
3 minutes and 1 minute counter arguments and 1 minute refutation.
Reputation.
Okay.
Okay. Fun? Excited? Joe, you're so fun. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I'm sorry I haven't been able to get back to you on anything.
Okay. All right.
It has been a long month. For the speech I missed,
Yeah.
could I record myself doing it at home and send that in? And then do the self-evaluation on it?
You have to do it in person.
It has to be.
You need
Okay.
it in person. Okay. So you have 2 speeches, and do you have the documentation why you missed it? Remember, you
I've not been able to. That's part of the reason I haven't been able to do anything. I've been trying to figure out. what
Okay. To try to do that by this, because time is coming, it's
Yeah.
really close. So try to get that done. And once you're done with that, I will figure out a time. It needs to be done either. It can't be. So it needs to be done. I would say by the latest by the 28th,
28.
after class.
Okay.
Okay, we have to do 2 speeches then.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
So and then you need to give me the documentation so that I have that by this weekend.
Okay. That's gonna be the tough part. I don't know. What documentation works for funerals? Because
Did you talk to Dyson? You have to talk to your advisor.
I don't know.
I can just direct you.
Because part of the reason I was missing for the funerals
Wait.
was just because
Okay,
of
one
everything
second.
else happening. It was more I couldn't handle getting up at the time, and my brain would not work. I don't know how I made it through those months otherwise, but
do something, you need to, and this is the best thing, that you need to get in touch with your advisors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they'll be able to tell you where, because this is supportive, supportive services that does exist, and they know exactly what paperwork you need or what you need. If you've been going through a challenging situation, you need to document that.
Okay.
Okay, and tell them that I was going through this. There was, death in the in your in the family, or that made me not attend those classes, and I'm here to document that. And once I get the documentation, then I'll be able to do my speeches and push it, escalate it, all right, and get that. We have to you. Everybody is assigned an advisor, right?
Yeah.
So you need to get in touch with advisors as soon as possible. Okay. So get the speeches done by Thursday.
Okay.
Okay. Work on it. I know this is kind of like little disconcerting for you, because you don't know what paperwork, what will happen, but there is so I would keep preparing, all right, not lose focus, keep preparing for the one, focus on the debate assignment, and then keep preparing for those two assignments, and on the side figure out there has to be a way to do this.
Okay.
Okay. Get in touch with advice as soon as possible. Whatever the situation was, just tell them that I wasn't in a mental state where I. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. You too. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't open my speech, like what to write about.
Which one?
This
So
one.
what happened? I didn't see you raising. But
Yeah, I know. I was sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I have a class right now. I won't
Oh,
be able
yeah?
to do this right now.
So can I send you an email and then you can tell me? Because I need help with right. Oh, this, I'm confused.
Which one?
This one. That's my.
Okay,
thing, but
so we need to
I suppose-
talk. Yeah, we have to do it.
I should-
Call me
can I-
up.
can I do
Yeah,
Zoom?
you can use Zoom and call me, text me and let me know
Mhm.
that we need to talk about this one. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
yeah, I'll say.
All right.
So
Joe,
I'm wondering, what was the score of like a re-speech of?
I haven't done that.
Oh, you
You should be getting it by next week.
Okay,
So I should be turning it in by Sunday.
okay,
Okay,
got
for
you.
the week one. Okay, I will, but you have improved, definitely, okay? All right,
And then, do you remember that I was supposed to do my other speech?
that you missed the window.
Oh, I did?
You missed the
But
window,
that
yeah,
Tuesday,
yeah,
that Tuesday,
yeah.
we didn't have class.
No, not Tuesday, we did it with, it was on a Thursday that we did. Okay,
Oh,
I
oh.
was waiting and, yeah, that we can't make up anymore. So this
Well,
was,
Which one?
the retest, I'll give you the score that you got.
Uh-huh.
But that one, we did it on I think we did it on Friday, April 7th or the 14th we did.
'Cause
Our,
I came the Tuesday that I was supposed to do it, we didn't have school, we didn't have class, we had class.
yeah,
And
yeah,
Thursday I didn't come, and I didn't come for this 3 days because I was sick.
yeah. So one of the days we did it. I don't want to go back on that one
I
anymore.
can't go back.
There's no way. There's
Oh.
no, okay, that window is gone. Okay, so there were 3 actually, we were here in class.
Mhm.
On one of the days I can tell you which day we did it, but right now we can't think about that right now. Yeah, so. Let's see. That was when Joe and all there. I had 5 people who were.
Oh, they did it again?
Yeah, they
Oh,
did it
okay.
again, and then people were coming, and I was flexible. Everybody who was coming to class was able to do it any of the days.
Mhm.
If they could stay back, they were doing it. But right now, at
Mhm.
this point, we are
It's too
really.
late.
it's too
Yeah, yeah.
late.
No, yeah, I get it. I
Okay.
understand, yeah.
Uh,
Well, I was just sending an email about this.
Okay, so what we can do is
Mhm.
try to prepare that one, okay? And there's no more absence right now, okay?
Yeah, I know.
So try to prepare. If we have time,
Mhm.
I'll take you in,
Okay,
okay? And that has the last day is Thursday,
okay.
okay? So there's no more. So you have to prepare both. So
Yeah,
I
no,
hope that there's.
I'm already done with the other one.
Okay.
Because I remember I did it. and
You
I got-
did it,
and I
but
got a
yeah,
six. I got
yeah,
it,
yeah. So you got to
Yeah.
prepare that and be done by Thursday.
No, I already
Okay.
have it done.
Okay,
That's the thing, I just need this one, because
Okay.
I'm struggling with this one.
okay,
That's why I'm focused on this one now.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Can I send an email and then to set up a meeting?
Yeah, send me
Okay.
and send or call me. That's the best way to.
Call you
Yeah.
to your phone number?
Yeah, take my number, 412-427-427.
412. Mhm.
I'm sorry, what's wrong with me? 412 760-8348.
8348.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
so,
send a message.
yeah, so call, do a missed call. Yeah, got it. So, yeah, so you now know my number, text me when you're available for a meeting and then,
Okay.
okay, all right.
Thank you.
Okay.